we have tried to make a design that looks like diamonds. We use the nano-engraving technology, similar to what you can see on bills or passports. There are a lot of people that are going to criticize what you're doing, that are going to tell you, oh, that's not possible, don't even try, why would you bother?
Yes, but why not think about it for 1 other minute? Somehow we have to go to 100% circular.
A very warm welcome to the Circular Talk here at the Bundesplatz Bern. We're at the UEFA Women's Euro, and today we're here with Elodie Lombard from Genève Watches and Carole Tornay from BaselCircular. Thanks for being here. And maybe my very first question would be sport and sustainability. Is there a connection or a relation, or how do you feel that is?
Thank you for the invitation. I'm very happy to be here to talk about an important topic like circularity. And I'm talking about the connection of sports and sustainability or circularity. I think there is a lot of connection, mainly also in terms of how that you have to be very persistent. Mm-hmm. So I want to make the comparison with, I sometimes try to start running. Mm-hmm. So when I go too fast and too long, like from one day to the other, it doesn't work. So my knees start hurting and I can't go running anymore. So I really have to start step by step and increase the distance step by step and also the pace. So I think it's a very good comparison because sustainability or circularity is basically the same. So you cannot snap your finger and then from one day to the other the world is completely circular. So you have to go step by step and build up. I think that's a very good connection. And you need to have a persistence because I have been working on a topic for 17 years and we did manage some progress, but we're not where we should be.
Yeah, I like that. And how is this for you, Elodie? Is there a parallel between sports and sustainability also in your life, or how do you see that?
Yes, absolutely. I would totally agree. In my perception, I think the link is about process. Because whether in sports or in sustainability, it's a process. You have to start somewhere, just like you said, and then hopefully gradually you will get better and you will get recognition, you will get support, you will get better at what you do. So you also inspire others to either go into sports or go into sustainability. And so I would also focus on the process part of it. Yeah.
And I like it, you work in a company actually with a product, like the first circular watch that you then can explain maybe briefly. And you work in an organization that actually is developing a region around Basel to be more circular. So, so it's both. You kind of develop a market, one in Basel, one for a new product segment, if you like. So that you both have this energy to do this. Was there a certain moment in your life where you decided or you knew I want to work in sustainability?
It's really funny because we often talk about it also within the team. Sustainability has been a part of our lives also outside of work. Mm-hmm. It's maybe it's a matter of education or values and topics like this. And so it's always been something important in my life. And I'm so happy to be now working within ID Genève because we have the opportunity to bring this to a whole new level. Mm-hmm. And as you said, it's the first circular watch, but hopefully not the last, because the goal is also to inspire other industries and also other companies within the watchmaking industry to go a step further in the sustainability adventure and maybe go towards circularity. And so, it's a huge honor to be able to do that. And for instance, in our watches, we work with reprocessed or recycled materials. Some of the materials that we work with can be recycled. Yeah. It's within the entire life cycle of the product. So not only the watch and its different parts, but also the packaging, also the after sale and the care of the watch. So we try to really think about the entire life cycle of the watch and of how people are going to use them and take care of them to make it as circular and as lasting as possible.
I thought actually that is very impressive, with the Genève watches, that you want to develop your market, but also you want to challenge the Swiss watch industry, become more sustainable, and also inspire other industries, to use more materials in that regard. I thought, this is a very unique model to have also as a company, to have this aspiration to go there. And in BaselCircular is a multi-year project, funded by the canton of Basel-Stadt and also a private foundation. And you're the CEO, and so in a way you actually also have the task to develop a market there. Or how would you describe, your vision for BaselCircular or the Basel economic region in 10, 20 years?
Well, on the one hand, it's a market, but we like to call it ecosystem. So it needs like different actors, different companies, different product, different measures. So we need to have like the whole ecosystem going into the same direction towards more circularity. And this is also our goal. We want to make Basel more circular and also inspire, like you said, you want to inspire other companies and the whole market. We want to inspire other regions and the whole country, and ideally also other countries. Yeah. So this is what we want to, and our BaselCircular is focused on startups and on companies. So it's not like we cannot, ideally we would, but we cannot work with everybody. So we focus on the industry, like startups and companies, and we want to help them to become more circular with different supporting things.
And I think it was the preparation of such a large project took several years, and I think it's now launched since 2 years. Is that correct? 1.5, 2 years?
1 year.
1 year, okay.
Yeah, we launched last August.
That's right. Yeah.
Congratulations! Yeah. Almost a year now. Huh?
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah.
So impressive work that already happened, and when you look back 1 year and now today, is there something today that you see that's the biggest hurdle that you see, or barrier or obstacle, that you didn't have maybe a year ago? Did something change recently? What is your biggest challenge right now?
So looking back, I think it's already a great achievement to have been able to bring together the government of Basel and a private foundation, that they would join forces and really commit to circularity in Basel. So I think that's already a great achievement. I was in Germany last week and I talked a little bit about BaselCircular. And after my presentation, I said I could have stopped after saying they each pay 1 million Swiss francs per year. I could have stopped because everybody's like, wow, we want to have the same. And they didn't even care about what exactly we do. But it was like, okay, we need that. So it's a public-private partnership. And I think we underestimated a bit the two partners, the public and the private. They're very different. So it was a lot of work also to really bring them together, because at the beginning there was the idea, okay, let's do that. But when it comes down to the details of, okay, how do we do that, different contracts, etc. So that was a lot of work that we underestimated. And what I think is very positive, like looking back from now, that we invested a lot also in communicating, etc., and it is being seen. So people come to me and they say, oh, I see that there's a lot going on. It's like, yes, there's always a lot been going on, but now we talk about it. So I think it's very important to make it visible, and that's also why I'm very happy to be here today, because I think that's a very important part, to go out and to talk to people, to talk about it. Yeah.
Thank you. So how is this for you, Elodie? I mean, do you have, what is your biggest challenge right now? I know that you expand beyond Switzerland, you have several markets that you build up. You have I've seen the first also ambassador in Japan.
Yes, absolutely.
So, what is in your work, the biggest challenge you experience?
Well, it's really interesting because I feel that there are a lot of similarities with what you've experienced, but at a smaller level in our case. But since it's a new way of doing watches, and the watchmaking industry is such an important aspect of Switzerland when you think about exports, when you think about the collaborative imaginary that thinking that there is around Switzerland. We think about mountains, chocolate and watches usually, and then sometimes we go into bankings and stuff like that. But so it's really anchored in heritage and legacy, and now that we want to challenge the way things are made, it's a really, really important work and difficult work to talk to the right people, to make sure that it's not an opposition to what has been done, but just an alternative. And so it's supposed to be adding value to the watchmaking industry and not criticizing the way things have been done, because sometimes when we talk about sustainability, it appears as if we're criticizing the way things are done at a certain point of time. And it's really complicated to find the right message to make sure that it's just saying, okay, it's actually another way of doing things, and if it speaks to you, great. If it doesn't, it's okay as well. You know, it's not one or the other, but we really try to find the right message and the right marketing sometimes to shed light on what we're doing. And you were talking about the work that's being seen now, but you've been working a lot in the past. It was the same for us. The brand launched a year and a half after the co-founders decided to start the project. And so it was a lot of work to make it visible, to make it understandable. There's been a lot of educational work and terms and images and stuff to make it understandable. And then now we're finally working on, okay, now we have a great product, we think. We have a beautiful product. And by the way, it's sustainable and it comes from the circular economy. And so the message is really shifting now, and that's a challenge as well. So we are facing different challenges at every stage of our development. But funnily enough, it's not the expansion to other countries that's difficult. Although we could talk about the tariffs or exports depending on the countries. It's currently a very good discussion, but still it's not the most difficult. The most difficult, I think, is to still have a very good quality product, even though it's made mainly out of waste.
I thought that's very interesting how you describe, so are you looked at by the industry as like a little bit rebels or challenging the heritage, or is it also from the consumer side?
Both. But from the industry, I was really surprised because most of the time they're intrigued, but they're not mad at us. They don't have an issue with what they're doing. And we are actually in discussion with other well-established watchmaking brands and maison, we call them maison. And we're in discussion with them because they also have now a focus towards sustainability, but for us it was much easier in a sense because we started that way. And bigger, more established structures, they need to shift an entire way of doing things towards sustainability, and it's much harder. So it's really cool to see that they're interested to be in discussion with us and to see sometimes they have ideas that we can take for our own development, and sometimes we have ideas that they can take for their own shift. So it's really interesting. But for the consumer side of it, it's sometimes very difficult to say, hey, look, it's recycled. And yet it's still a luxury product. So are you willing to put so many thousands of Swiss francs into a recycled product? And it's been a really, really challenging part of the development. And I think that now finally consumers are also realizing that sustainable materials or alternatives to leather or reprocessed and recycled materials have value, and that it's also a very interesting way of processing a product if it's not just made out of raw material extracted from the earth. So the shift is happening slowly but surely.
The shift is happening, and this is also what we experience. And we also, in this work, we also need like energy boosts, like in your work, like what do you experience right now as something that really fascinates you or gives you energy, a solution that actually works? Do you have something, within your own organization or like happens in Basel, or what is like something that really fascinates you right now?
I was very impressed by your watch. Congrats, and it looks very nice.
I will tell the designer.
I do have some examples from Basel that impressed me. So one is called Microbes, and they make material like packaging material, for example, out of what's it called?
Mycelium.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like a fungus kind of, but they combine it with other organic material. So it actually grows into shape, but it gives a stable material that can be used. And I think it's a startup in Basel, and I think it's so great. Those are several young people, very motivated, and they have a great product. And another example is a design studio. It's called Studio Colony, and they do a lot of work with with different partners to design products. And I think design is in a lot of cases underestimated, the importance of design, because at the design stage you actually can influence 80% of the resources that you use. And I think this is something that is mostly underestimated, because people think design is only about making something a little bit nicer. But it is also about that, but it's also about a lot more. And I think, that's the two examples that I would like to give.
I like that you mentioned design, because also here, this is like actually old mattresses from the Swiss Army that you're sitting on. These are like a table from the Dolder Grand, an office table that is not used anymore, one of the best business hotels in Switzerland. And actually material that has not value anymore, that then becomes kind of a design icon. And it's also interesting with Ide Genève watches that actually the founder, the three people, one was at the Elodie de Lausanne, Nicolas, the CEO, then Saint-Gall is the designer from Ticino, and then there's also Cedric, the watchmaker from Geneva. So actually the design is a very integral part of your company.
Absolutely, No, it's so interesting, because I didn't know the work of Circular Basel before, and we have so many topics and concerns in common, so it's really interesting. But the design in our case, the watches are thought and made to be repairable, so that pieces, when they're damaged, can be either repaired or replaced. It's really, the entire concept has been thought to be as circular and as durable as possible. And the designer would be so happy that you mentioned it, and also in your presentation, because it's as you say, most of the time in the mind of people that don't know about design, they think it's about making something beautiful or useful, but it's also a very good way of thinking, how are you going to make it already with the materials that make sense, with partners that work with things that are interesting and that are an alternative to the way things have been done for centuries. And I mean, it's really at the basis of everything. And every time we design a new watch, Singal, he has to take into account the entire process from sourcing to production to selling it, and then he will finish his design. So it's really an entire process.
I think actually you are wearing the fifth element, and what looks like color. I'm not sure if you can see that in the camera, but what seems like color is actually not color. But maybe Elodie, you can say what that is.
Yeah. So well, it's funny. I'm not sure if I'm doing this right, but anyway, I will show you closer later on. But for this very new collection, the idea was to work with the elements of nature. And so we have water, air, earth, fire, and this is the fifth element. And this is actually my watch. I'm not just wearing a random watch for today. It's my watch. And on this one, this one, but the entire collection, we use the nano-engraving technology from a startup that's called Morphotonics. They're based in Lausanne, and it's really a patented technology, and it's similar to what you can see on bills or passports. And so it makes a holographic effect when you move the watch with the light. And so you see colors when you're far, but when you're close, you can see that also below the colors, we've written all the elements of nature. So you can read fire, earth, etc. And then you can also read circular economy, circular Swiss made, because that's what we tend for, not just Swiss made as you would know in the watchmaking industry, but circular Swiss made. So the circular economy is really engraved in it. And also, I don't know if it's visible, but we have tried to make a design that looks like diamonds, and that's very shiny and shimmery. And that's just on this specific watch, not on the entire Elements collection, because sourcing of diamonds is still quite problematic. And since we cannot be sure of traceability and transparency within the entire supply chain for diamonds, we've decided not to work with it yet. And so we've tried, it's a first try, so we'll see if we can develop it to be even more bright and shiny. But it's a way of having something very sparkly, and yet without any mining involved.
Yeah.
So it's a cool alternative, and on a very spiritual and more around how we describe the watch. The fifth element is the connection between all of us and nature, and you can interpret it as you want. It can be spiritual, it can be religious, it could be just the way you feel around people and in nature, and that's why I picked this one.
I love how you described it, and it's a very visionary also concept. And for you, being responsible for where BaselCircular is heading, what is your vision? Where do you see Basel, let's say in 10, 20 years, when your ideas that you have now are in place? What would be your wish and vision for BaselCircular?
So I've been thinking quite a lot about that in the past, and what I've seen is people do a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and a little bit of this, and it's just not enough. Yeah. So I kind of felt a throwback I used to work at WWF, and I helped building up the Science-Based Targets Initiative, which is an initiative that really aimed in changing the way people talk or companies talk about climate change. So that was, I don't know, more than 10 years ago, maybe 13, 15 years ago, that we started working on this initiative. And back then, companies were defining their climate targets by just identifying a couple of measures. They said, okay, 1, 2, 3, that equals minus 10%. Yeah. But they had no idea how much impact that would have, positive impact, And the Science-Based Targets Initiative tried to shift the focus and start thinking from the end. So we have a limited carbon budget, and we have to be at zero at the end. So how do we get there? And I'm stating this or explaining this example because I'm thinking about that in terms of circular economy. So what is the overall goal? It's 100%. Can we get there? Well, we have to. Somehow. When? I don't know. And how? I don't know either. But I mean, when you talk about vision, I mean, we have limited resources. So we have to deal with that fact, right? So somehow we have to go to 100% circular.
I like it, it's a very clear vision, and
and that's my personal one, so it's
I love it, because that's exactly the kind of goals that we need and the kind of ambition that we need. And coming from that ambition, then what would be your advice if you have people in your environment or in your network, and they say, what should I do? What would be your advice to them?
I would say, keep your unconventional ideas and don't let people get you away from those ideas because they say, oh, this is not possible because of this and this and that. Don't listen to them. Just keep your ideas, keep your unconventional ideas and try to pursue those. I have a daughter, she's 7 years old, and she has such great ideas. It's so impressive. And in many cases I think, oh no, but this idea is crazy because X, Y, Z. And then I think, yes, but why not think about it for 1 other minute? Because maybe she's right. Maybe we could go into that direction. So that's my message. Keep having crazy and unconventional ideas and pursue them.
And be a little bit stubborn in going that way. And you are a startup, you work with a startup, so what would be your advice from your experience for other startups?
Well, everything you said, and because I completely agree, without conviction and ambition, you have to trust in what you're aiming for, and then somehow things will fit into place. And I would add to that maybe connect with people that can help you, because there are a lot of people that are going to criticize what you're doing, that are going to tell you, oh, that's not possible, don't even try, why would you bother? But there are also people that are going to lift you up and help you with whatever you need. Without maybe it's just someone else that you need to meet and they will help you with a specific problem that you have in your development. Maybe it's just someone that will talk to you and somehow you will solve a problem, because within the conversation you will have explained everything, and poof, for some reason, we're talking to people that are really invested and interested in what you're doing. It can also solve a lot of issues. And so yeah, convictions and connection, probably.
I like that. So our message would be today, if you have big ideas, go for it, be stubborn and talk to people. Thank you for being here. That was very nice.